Well, hello, beautiful people. How are you this very fun day? As you can see, sitting in a bit of a different position this morning because, well, I'm about to hit the road. Yes, hitting the road. So yesterday we did have a bit of success. After I spoke to you yesterday morning, the young bloke who turned up to help me the day before returned, and boy, did he really help. So at this point, I've got to talk about the Ballarat Truck Centre. They sent a mechanic out named Liam, and on the phone when I was talking to them to begin with, he said to me, "I can fix anything." And I said, "Oh, well, that'll be good. That could be useful." He came out. Well, it turns out he had to fix quite a lot of things. But the one-way valve was the big thing that we were having a problem with. He built a new one of those. He discovered that I'd done a bit of other damage inside something called a stepper motor. The bus no longer runs on LPG. I've blown a hole. Not a hole, I've blown the entire diaphragm out of the LPG air intake. So that's where the bang happened. So don't think for a second, folks, that it had anything to do with the hydrogen. It had nothing whatsoever to do with hydrogen. It was my pure idiocy trying to start this thing on LPG. So yeah, nothing to do with the hydrogen. The hydrogen doesn't actually, for those of you that are interested in the hydrogen doesn't kick in, doesn't even start until I think it's 5 or might even be a little bit longer seconds after the engine is running. Okay, so the engine is running before the hydrogen system starts. My engine was never running; it was just turning over. So, yeah, don't be worried about the hydrogen side of things. I know people are saying, "Oh, look, puts hydrogen on it. Looks what happened." This had nothing whatsoever to do with the hydrogen. On my heart, cross my heart, hope to die. Nothing whatsoever to do with the hydrogen. It just simply wasn't working at that time. It hadn't had time to generate any hydrogen, and it hadn't had any time to put it into the motor. So, and if it had have been a hydrogen detonation, then there would have been a lot more damage to the engine, not necessarily to anything else, but a lot more damage to the engine. So rest assured that wasn't the case. Anyway, Liam from Ballarat Truck Centre came out. I don't know what it's cost yet. I said to him, just get your boss to ring me and I'll pay him, Yeah, they haven't rung me yet. So they're probably adding up the bill. But, he was essentially with me for about 6 or 8 hours over 2 days. So I don't think it's going to be cheap. But anyway, he got us going. And I didn't get very far. I went from where I was, about 20 Ks, 25 Ks, to where I am now. And that meant last night I got to do 2 things. I got to hang out with the girls from Vic West My Place, or Vic West Organics again. Doris and Maddie, and Beckio from Truth Seekers came over too. And I was part of a meeting that they had as one of their group organisations setups, their My Place groups. And I met a wonderful bunch of people yesterday who are very, very motivated to be involved with council, to try and hold their local councils to a standard. And so far, it seems like many of these local councils, particularly in Victoria, have been usurped by politics once again. Now, my dad used to work in local government. He was a town secretary, town clerk, whatever you want to call it, shire secretary. So I sort of have some intimate knowledge of how local councils worked. At the time, I was never interested. But back in the day, I do remember that our local council was never political. It was never divided Labor and Liberal. I remember being very surprised the first time that ever happened, or I found that. And that was when I moved to Queensland for the first time in about 1986. Queensland politics at the time was overridden by Labor, Liberal, Nationals, LNP, ABC, whatever the hell they were. And I couldn't understand why we had that level of politicking going on at our local government level. Well, that wasn't the case in Victoria in those days, as far as I know. It wasn't open at any rate. It wasn't a Labor Liberal kind of local council that we had in Mortlake or Rapaniup that I remember. But nowadays, particularly in the metro areas, that's exactly what they are, aligned with a major party. How did that happen? Well, I know it's because the greedy little bastards that like to put their hands up for these jobs are already associated with the greedy bigger bastards who are already running those parties. And they go, let's infiltrate. And that's what they do. They take over. They're an infestation. They must be eradicated. It's that simple. Anyway, on with the show. So, yeah, sitting in a bit of a different position today. I'm sitting on the esky because I'm about to pull all the windows and go and see Doris and say thank you for having me in her street for the night. And then I'm on the road. Where am I going? I'm going to Frankston because tonight is the 2-year anniversary for my place. And let's call it my place in general, but Frankston in particular. So Darren Bergworth and the crew are having me down there tonight. It's going to be a huge night. There are 4 bands, there are food vans, there are market stalls, there's a whole heap of stuff going on. There'll be a lot of people. So if you would like to come to the show tonight, we would love to have you. 457 Nepean Highway in Frankston is the My Place Frankston address, and you should be able to find it okay. The bus will be parked out the front. So we'll try and get a show together from there. I will get a show together from there. I've just got to get down there early enough and string a few cameras up, but we'll have a bit of a show from there tonight. I don't want to interrupt proceedings and have it come to a grinding halt because I want to stand up and talk. So tonight's show might take an interesting turn. I'm not exactly, I won't have to worry about YouTube because I'm banned off it. So maybe the bans are the problem. If the bands are playing non-original music, then you get banned off certain things. But if we just stream on Rumble tonight, then that won't be a problem. Yeah, so I'll figure out all those audio issues this afternoon or today when I get down there. I'm going to be heading down shortly. So yeah, news on the bus is we're rolling. It is only running on petrol, and once I reach down here and reconnect the earth wire, it will run on hydrogen as well. So we will give it a run. There is, I suppose, one small concern about the hydrogen side of things, and that is the airbox that's been taped up. I think we should be okay. I mean, the hydrogen travels at a hell of a speed, as Tim said. It likes to move around at about 1,500 kilometres an hour, and it is injected straight into the airbox, which has an airflow pretty rapid in itself. The tape we've used doesn't look to be porous, but gas is a funny thing. So I would think that most of the hydrogen will get into the motor. Some of it may leak out of the patch that we've currently got on there. It's going to be important to try and find some parts for this vehicle, particularly that particular rubber airbox seal. And hopefully we might have a bit of luck with an LPG repairer who is going to need to, look at what I've done to the airbox and the LPG injector airbox or whatever they call it. Because I've, hang on. Give me a moment. I have my little baggie. If you ever wondered what's inside your LPG gas insertion thing, it's a diaphragm. It's about that big. And ordinarily, it has a big spring in the middle of it. And don't ask me how it works, but that generally sits inside something that's rather large. And then it has something like that on it. So currently, those bits live in this bag so that I can take it back to somebody who knows a bit more about LPG and figure that out. So, yeah, that's the diaphragm out of the LPG air intake. So no more LPG for a little while. But that should allay anybody's fears about it being a hydrogen explosion. I probably would have lost a leg if that had been the case. So, yeah, a bit of fun. Anyway, please come down tonight and check out My Place Frankston. If you haven't been there yet, it's a very welcoming atmosphere. I'm so looking forward to getting back and seeing a bunch of people. And I will be in Melbourne for a couple of days. I'm probably going to hang around Victoria for a little while, but I might go and see some family and some friends I haven't seen in a long time, and then be back for the 11th of the 11th, where we want that day to be a huge day for Melbourne, Remembrance Day. The King's Domain is the place to be, and there is a lot of people coming. There's a big drive to get people from all over Australia to come to Remembrance Day in Melbourne. Why is that? Well, we might have a talk about that with Darren tonight. But it's going to be a great weekend, a great day, particularly the 11th. So come. We would love to have you. You've seen Tim talk about it. Tim Dwyer's coming over for it too. It will be a very spectacular event. We look forward to seeing you there. That's the 11th of the 11th at 11 a.m., of course. So, Frankston today. Look forward to seeing you down there. Like I say, 4 bands and food and fun and frivolity. And we'll be there for the duration, probably a couple of days. I don't think I'll be able to park in the main street of Frankston for too long. Maybe one night will get me out, but we'll see what happens. So if you want to come tonight, 457 Nepean Highway in Frankston is the address. If you know my Place Frankston, you'll know that it has 2 entrances, one from the alleys out the back and one from the Nepean Highway. You will not be able to access the alleys. You can't come in that way. Those alleys will be blocked off, and there's no access through them. So you must come through the front door at 457 Nepean Highway. If you are coming, we would love to see you. And I know there's a crew that are coming down from Vic West, which is going to be great. Looking forward to seeing Sherry and Maddie and Doris again. They'll be down. A few more, I think, are going to pop down too. I met some wonderful folks last night who travelled a fair distance from all over Melbourne to come to the meeting that Vic West Organics, my place, held last night. And a very interesting meeting it was too. Talked a bit about common law and talked a bit about getting people together to work, well, to sort out council. Councils are the big local problem, particularly in Melbourne. They are overtaken by these political fiefdom builders, and locals can't get anything done. In fact, we've seen Darren Bergwerf's community council. There's been another My Place council up in the Yarra Valley who've gone to their local councils now, and the local councillors are so scared that they are now closing the meetings. If I were you, I would never re-elect any person who is sitting on a current council that has closed the doors to the people that elected it. And in most cases, abused those people as well. Has to stop. Can't have people like that representing us on the ground locally, can we? How the hell can we get anything done? They out themselves. Speaking of outing themselves, so has Tasmania. Have a look at the election, or the referendum results out of Tasmania. If you break it down by the electorates in Tasmania, and Tasmania, is an interesting little place because it's kind of like Canberra, okay? All of Tasmania voted no. All of Tasmania voted no, except for Hobart, or areas in that bottom part of Tasmania. Now, why would you think that would be? They all voted in favour of it. Well, there's a reason for that. Where would the bureaucracy live in Tasmania? At the heart of state government, Hobart, and that surrounding area. The bureaucracy stretches to other little towns and cities because Tasmania works a little differently. The bureaucracy would have great reach, just like it would in Canberra. So the Tasmanian bureaucracy came out in support of the yes vote, but the rest of the state said no, quite emphatically. So Tasmania, you now have identified the enemy, or at least those who would work against us, just like they did in Canberra. We have a movement here, folks. We have 70% of Australians who are dissatisfied with the performance of government at federal, state, and local level. That's very powerful. We need to make use of that to change things. Otherwise, nothing will change. We'll have these foreign-owned corporations dictating over us until we die. And they're trying to kill us. That could be sooner rather than later. What can we do about it? Well, we can vote them out. But we do it the people's way, maybe with a referendum. A show of support, or lack of it, for those levels of government and the bureaucracy that backs them. So you've heard Tim and I talk about potentially putting something together like that. And it won't be just Tim and I putting it together. It'll be everybody who's involved. It's not an ownership thing. This is something we have to do for all Australians, and all Australians should be involved in doing. Okay? It's not a matter of who did what and where and why. It's a matter of getting it done. That's what it has to be. There's no room for ego. None. And we will point it out. And I will pop it if I see it. And it will be ugly. Very ugly. Because when you pop someone's ego, they burst and the shit goes everywhere. So it will be ugly. So I hope that doesn't come that way. I really do. I hope ego isn't a problem for the people in the freedom movement to get behind and start pushing this idea. Because it will take all of us to make this happen. We have to work together. There is no point climbing up the hill from one angle if nobody else is climbing up from the other side, Ricardo. So we need to all make that push at the same time. Can we do that? I'd be really interested. I believe we can, and I'd be really interested to have a dialogue with those other influencers, if you want to call them that, freedom media types, to make it happen. I've been speaking with Becky O from Truth Seekers. I have a great deal of respect for her and her team. They have put together quite a team, an international team at that, and they are real truth seekers. So Becky O will be part of that. We'll be part of that. There'll be others. There are many others who are going to be part of that. But there are certain groups that we also need and want to have a part of this. We need them to stand up and start pushing too. Otherwise, it'll just be a very little party that we have next year in January. And there might be a few votes and there might be a few paper signatories, but we get nothing achieved. Well, if that's the case, then Australia, if you're not prepared to save yourself, why would you expect anybody else to? That's probably the biggest concern. Australians are apathetic people. That should be right. We'll look at it tomorrow. The government wouldn't do that. Nah, she'll be right. So we need to step up in that regard. We do. Anyway, I didn't want this one to be a long one. Sunflower, you gorgeous thing, you. Talk of Biden's impeachment is on the grow, and what are we today? The 27th. So we're expecting him to step down before the end of October, but we've heard all that before. This is a great point you have raised, Sunflower. Yes, I have attracted a lot of people with the signage. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why. That's why we sign things. But it's been quite a surprise. I get a lot of people because I sit here working and I've got windows open that I can sort of see through, but people don't automatically look in the windows because I'm a bit higher. So I can see them having a look at the bus and that kind of thing. So far, I've had about half a dozen people walk up and knock on the door and ask me what I'm all about. But I've had a lot more stop and look and take photos and maybe come in and have a bit of a look. Unfortunately, unless they're coming to the Rumble channel, they're probably not going to see anything because the other channel that I have out there is the Voice of Freedom on the side of it. And that, unfortunately, is not working at the moment, thanks to you, Turd. Oh, now somebody has sent me through a contact for somebody who might be able to get that fixed. I've got to go to Instagram, though, to try and contact this person to get this fixed. So that'll be a whole adventure in itself. I'll probably need 6 hours and a lesson to figure out how to work Instagram. But we'll try and give that a go over the weekend, and maybe I'll get those two channels returned to me sooner. The problem being, of course, you can't argue with a fucking robot. And the robot works its algorithm and just says, no, bad luck, that's what happened. We're not going to let you back on. So anyway, it is a bit of a pain in the bum. Hello, Melissa. It's been a while. Can't remember seeing you pop in for a little while. Lovely to have you around, Vulcan Aussie. Paul's obviously, Paul Brown did that. Oh, Doc Brown. I get what you're saying, Paul. Sorry, I'm reading backwards. Grand Rising. Yeah, I do look a bit fresh. I've had a really good night's sleep. I've had a bit of a wash, which is always nice. I had a magnificent shower last night. A couple of things. When you're in Victoria, and Vince helped me fix this issue when I was in South Australia, because it is bloody cold. We got the heater going in the vehicle, so it works on a little thermostat and works on 12 volt as well, which is great. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on gas. It doesn't work when you don't have gas. And I have chewed through a 9-kilo bottle of gas with the heater alone, because that's all it's used for. Well, in a week and a bit. So it's been cold. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. God, if I went to Tasmania, I wouldn't be towing a trailer with my stuff around. I'd be towing a trailer with LPG bottles just so I could keep warm. Speaking of Tasmania, Black Sheep and I had a bit of a chat yesterday. I haven't seen Paul in the chat for a little while. He's been having a bit of a time, and I just want him to know that we're thinking of him, and keep your chin up, mate. It'll all work out in the end. But he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And as he said to me yesterday, keep watching what's going on. What's happening at the moment is truly biblical. If you read your Bible, you'll know exactly what's going on and probably get some faith out of it. But Temple Mount in Israel or in Jerusalem is central in all of this. At the moment, they're looking to build a third temple over the dome. They'll bring the dome down, put up a third temple. That third temple will be the temple to Baal or Moloch or the Satan. And the Jewish people aren't quite realizing that yet. However, there are a lot of other people in the world who do realize that. And if you see the dome go down, and they are making preparations, they have plans already for this new temple to go over the dome, to go over the mount. You'll understand what a third temple means. And it will be biblical. So Israel will be last, as Q said. And given a lot of the conversations that I've had on the phone in the last couple of days about it, there seems to be a great level of misunderstanding. And I spoke last night about this, and even a lady sitting beside me who heard every word I said didn't hear what I said. And all of a sudden started being protective. I was talking about the two Talmud-following sects, Jewish sects, the Ashkenazi and the Khazarians. I'm not talking about the good Jewish folks who follow the Torah. I'm talking about the evil devil worshippers that follow the Talmud. And we spoke about that. This lady was quite confused. She thought I was attacking all Jews. And that is not the case. That is not the case at all. But there is two sects that are not true Jews. They are devil-worshipping, child-stealing, blood-drinking horrors. And right now, one lot's running Israel, and the other lot is running Khazaria, better known as Ukraine these days. But it was known as Khazaria over 1,000 years ago. Israel is probably, we've said before, Ukraine is the dark heart, but it turns out that Israel is the dark heart. Ask yourself why America has Israel as an ally, such a trusted and large ally. It produces nothing except money. It creates nothing except angst, and is just more of a problem than anything else. So why would America have it as, such a close and trusted ally? Well, what if that's where you're getting your adrenochrome from? What if that's where a lot of the evil that's happening stems from and takes place? Turns out that seems to be the case. So we will find out, and I hope we'll find out sooner rather than later. I really do think things are ramping up quite significantly. The scare event that we've been told to expect is happening. People are starting to be scared. China is starting to move ships into the Middle East. Why would China move ships into the Middle East? Well, because they are Russia's ally. If Russia decides to pick a fight with Israel, then America, as Israel's ally, would almost be obligated to start throwing missiles at Russia. That's why the Chinese are in the Middle East, to stop that. Because if the Americans start throwing things at Russia, China, being Russia's ally, will start throwing things at America. It's a very interesting setup that's going on at the moment. And if you go back and have a look at the true history of World War II and how it began, you'll find that this is eerily similar. Eerily similar. And remember that World War II wasn't just created for, but a large outcome from World War II was the creation of Israel, a nation state provided by the UN. Should be another hint why they're a great mate to the Yanks. So bear all that in mind over what's going to be happening over the next few days. And I hope it happens over the next few days. But we've done dates before, haven't we? And you know me and dates. So fingers crossed, but we'll plow on. I still believe that white hat regardless, we need to fix these problems. We need to stand up. Nobody else is going to stand up for us. It's only we, the people, who can help ourselves. And we can help ourselves by standing together and making an effort to stop this. And then the military may well come and support us. But it's going to be a little while. So, Truth Seeker TV, what's going on here, guys? Breaking news? Breaking news. Australian Defence Force deploying troops to Israel. Yeah. How weird is that? Well, I'll go and find out how many troops. I know that the Australian military already have aircraft in the area. They've got two C-17s, I think, and a KC-135 or 130 support tanker air refueler. I'm told that there are Hercs over there, but if there are Hercs, they're probably hauling engines for other things, smaller jets. Australia will not base any military inside Israel. Any military that we would have going to the Middle East would most likely be based somewhere like Dubai, unless we have an open declaration, which that might be the case. I haven't seen any news, so Truth Seekers TV might be all over this. And if there has been a declaration, then Biden would, call on his mate Albo Sleazy, who's sleeping over there at the moment. And as a bit of a show of force, they might send something across. I'd be interested to know what troops, so I will go away and find that out a little bit today. Shit mistake hour. Oh, hang on, what have we done here? Yeah, righto. Yep. So we'll have a bit of a look and delve deeper into what's going on. I got up, literally came and wanted to talk to you guys. I was going to do a little show last night from the lounge room that I was in, but we got a bit carried away and a lot of people turned up, and it was unlikely that I was going to hijack their meeting. So I'm sorry I didn't do anything again last night. And by the time we got the bus fixed yesterday, I literally drove from there to here and had a beautiful dinner. My God, had a magnificent dinner. Thank you, Michael, for dinner. And 2 home-cooked meals in 2 days, I've got to say, very lucky boy. Very lucky boy. All right, well, I better go and have a look at the news, views, and paperoos and pull the windows and get moving. I'm going to be heading down to Frankston and setting up today. Hope to see you tonight at the 2-year anniversary of my Place Frankston with Darren Bergworth and the team down there. I'm looking forward to seeing Gail and everybody. So it's going to be a great celebration of what is a truly amazing community initiative that has gone from, I think, this time 12 months ago, that 7 or 8 little local my places around Melbourne, to grown to over 190 around Australia now. It is absolutely spectacular, and I'm very proud to be part of it. And I'm very thankful that Darren has allowed me to stay to be part of this. It's very exciting, and I love meeting new people at these My Place events. I think I said, and maybe I didn't say it clearly enough because I was feeling a bit sick and sorry yesterday morning. I didn't realise just how much I get from meeting you folk until I turned up at Vic West Organics the other night in the pouring rain, freezing bloody cold, people came out and, wanted to meet me. It was humbling, but, I'd had a bad day. I really didn't want to talk and look at people and carry on. It was uplifting. It was the most uplifting thing for me. It restored me. It lifted me up. It re-energized me. And now I know what you mean when you say you get some kind of uplift out of me. Because that's predominantly the messages that I get back from people, that they get lifted up from my words. Well, can I tell you, when I meet you people in these kind of events, it's like sticking the battery on recharge, and just such a great feeling. So I can't thank you enough. I didn't realize how much that meant to me until the other night, when I needed a bit of help trying to cheer up. And it was amazing, just amazing. So thank you. I now know, and you should know, that I get a lot more out of this from you than I give you, I think. So thank you. Thank you for being there for me. I can't thank you enough. Anyway, see you tonight. It's going to be great. Where? 457 Nepean Highway in Frankston. My Place Frankston with Darren Bergwerf. I mean, if you really want to, you can come out in support of our tradie mate and wear your fluoro. Everybody likes a bit of fluoro. But you don't feel you have to wear fluoro. You can wear whatever you like. And my suggestion is just make sure it's warm. Very warm. Very, very.
You let
very
one
warm.
ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!